The final home game of the World Series had an energy that couldn't be described with words alone. The crowd began to gather hours before the first pitch, the air thick with anticipation and nerves. Every fan in Dodger blue understood that this wasn't just another game, it was possibly the last time they'd see Shohei Ohtani take the field in Los Angeles that season. As the sun began to dip behind the stands, painting the sky in gold and purple hues, the entire stadium buzzed like a living, breathing organism waiting for one last miracle. From the very beginning, Ohtani looked locked in. His focus, calm yet intense, drew the eyes of every camera and every spectator in the park. When he stepped into the batter's box for his first at-bat, the stadium erupted with chants of, "Ohtani! Ohtani!" It wasn't just admiration, it was worship mixed with hope. Each swing sent waves through the stands, fans gasping with every crack of the bat, every foul tip, every near miss that seemed to promise something greater was coming later. The opposing team, desperate to keep their championship dreams alive, played with ferocity. Their pitcher, a young ace, delivered fastballs at blistering speeds, but Ohtani matched him pitch for pitch mentally. The two seemed locked in a silent duel, neither willing to blink. By the third inning, Ohtani had already doubled off the wall, narrowly missing a home run that sent shockwaves through the crowd. It was clear, he wasn't just playing to win, he was playing to define a legacy. Every defensive play seemed magnified under the pressure. The Dodgers' infield worked like a machine, turning double plays with precision, while the outfielders tracked down deep fly balls that could have changed the game. But beneath the rhythm of the innings, there was an undercurrent of tension. Everyone knew this could go either way. The scoreboard read 3-3 by the sixth, and it felt like time itself had slowed down. Ohtani's next at-bat came in the bottom of the seventh. With two men on base, the entire stadium rose to its feet. The pitcher stared him down, wiping sweat from his brow. The first pitch came, a curveball low and outside. Ohtani didn't flinch. The second pitch, a fastball inside, he turned on it but fouled it straight back. Then came the third, a hanging slider, middle of the zone. The swing was pure poetry. The sound echoed through Dodger Stadium like a thunderclap. The ball soared deep into right center, the crowd holding its breath as it carried toward the wall. But at the last second, the fielder leapt, robbing Ohtani of a home run by inches. The fans groaned, yet the moment somehow felt more dramatic because of the near miss. Ohtani jogged back to the dugout with his trademark calm expression, but everyone watching could see it in his eyes. He was calculating, waiting for the moment that would matter most. By the eighth inning, the tension had built to an almost unbearable level. The Dodgers' bullpen worked frantically, trying to hold the line. Every pitch, every call from the umpire, every subtle movement drew reactions from tens of thousands. When the top of the ninth finally ended with a strikeout, the roar of the crowd nearly shook the concrete beneath them. It was now or never. The bottom of the ninth began with the stadium on its feet. The Dodgers needed just one run to win. The first batter grounded out to shortstop. The second hit a line drive single to left, hope reignited. Then came Ohtani. Cameras zoomed in, every fan held their breath. This was the moment he had dreamed of, the stage he was born for. As he walked to the plate, the sound of the crowd became a deafening wave. Chants of MVP, MVP echoed through the ballpark. Ohtani adjusted his helmet, looked up once toward the stands, and then toward the pitcher. His eyes were calm, but there was a fire behind them. The first pitch came in, a fastball just outside. Ball 1. The second pitch was a splitter, low in the dirt. Ball 2. The pitcher tried to stay ahead, but Ohtani wasn't biting. He had seen every kind of pressure in his career, and this was his domain. The next pitch came, a cutter high and tight. Ohtani swung, connecting perfectly. The sound was unmistakable. Every fan in the stadium stood as the ball soared into deep right field. It kept traveling, higher and higher, carrying the hopes of everyone watching. The right fielder sprinted back to the wall, jumped, and the ball hit the top of the padding, bouncing back into play. The runner from first was already flying around third base. Ohtani slid safely into second, pounding the base with his fist as the crowd erupted into chaos. The scoreboard now read runners on second and third, one out. The noise was beyond description, cheers, screams, chants all blending into one. The entire atmosphere felt like it was on the edge of explosion. The next batter was intentionally walked to load the bases. The crowd knew what that meant, every outcome was now amplified. The Dodgers just needed one hit. The pitcher exhaled, stepped back, and delivered. A sharp grounder to shortstop. The fielder threw home, out at the plate. 2 outs. Now everything rested on Ohtani's view from second base. The final batter stepped up. Ohtani crouched, hands on his knees, eyes fixed on home plate. He could see everything, the pitcher's rhythm, the crowd's faces, the sweat on his teammates' brows. He later said that moment felt like the world had stopped spinning. The pitcher delivered. The swing came, a blooper just over the second baseman's glove. The ball dropped into shallow right field. The crowd exploded. Ohtani took off like a jet, sprinting from second to home, arms pumping with pure determination. The throw came in, a perfect strike. Ohtani dove headfirst toward the plate. Dust flew, the crowd held its breath, and then the umpire's hand shot out. Safe. The stadium erupted in an explosion of sound unlike anything before. Fans jumped over railings, players stormed the field, and Ohtani rose from the dirt with a smile that lit up the entire night. The Dodgers had won the final home game of the World Series in walk-off fashion. As fireworks filled the sky, Ohtani stood at home plate, looking around at the sea of fans. Cameras captured every angle, his face, the fireworks, the scoreboard flashing, victory. It was a cinematic ending, the kind that baseball fans dream about their entire lives. His teammates surrounded him, lifting him into the air. Champagne bottles popped open in the dugout. The noise was overwhelming, but in that moment, Ohtani looked calm, almost reflective. He wasn't thinking about fame or statistics. He was thinking about the journey, the hours of training, the pain, the pressure, the expectations. Reporters later said that when Ohtani looked up into the crowd after scoring, his eyes were filled not with relief, but with gratitude. He saw children wearing his jersey, families hugging each other, fans crying tears of joy. It was as if he understood that baseball had given them something beyond sport, a moment of unity, emotion, and magic. When the post-game interview began, Ohtani's words were simple. "This is why we play," he said. For moments like this, his humility only made the moment even more powerful. He didn't claim the spotlight, he shared it with his teammates, his fans, and the game itself. In the locker room, the celebration continued deep into the night. Laughter, champagne, music, pure euphoria. Players told stories, coaches wiped away tears, and Ohtani sat quietly in the corner, a towel over his shoulders. Smiling. He knew this was the kind of moment that lives forever. Outside, thousands of fans lingered in the streets, chanting his name long after the final out. The lights of Dodger Stadium glowed in the background, and for the city of Los Angeles, it was more than just a win, it was a memory carved into history. The footage from that night, especially Ohtani's sprint home in the bottom of the ninth, quickly became legendary. It spread across the internet, replayed millions of times. Commentators called it the moment baseball transcended sport. In the days that followed, analysts debated whether it was the greatest moment of his career. But for fans, there was no debate. They had seen a man who represented perfection, not because of the numbers, but because of the passion. Every baseball fan knows there are moments that define eras. This was one of them. Ohtani's expression as he crossed home plate, the look of awe as he gazed around the roaring stadium, captured what makes the game timeless. For Ohtani, it wasn't about being the hero. It was about being part of something greater than himself. He saw what no camera could truly capture, the collective heartbeat of tens of thousands of fans united in one unforgettable moment. And as the lights dimmed and the crowd slowly drifted away into the night, Ohtani stood at the edge of the dugout, looking back at the field one last time. The diamond was empty, but it still shimmered under the lights, holding the echoes of history. That was the scene Ohtani saw in the bottom of the ninth inning, a field of dreams, a sea of believers, and the beautiful truth that baseball, at its heart, is a story of courage, faith, and destiny.